show up for this job because you have received and accepted a commissioning. And that commissioning is, for me, it's just to love.
Welcome to Straight Talk on Life Issues. I'm Victor Nieves, joined as always by Brad Mattis, president of Life Issues Institute. Today we're going to be talking about pro-life maternity homes and why they're so important.
Well, and they are terribly important, Victor. Oftentimes, young women, teenagers who find themselves pregnant unexpectedly, there's a lot of drama in the house when that pregnancy is announced, and sadly, some of them are kicked out of their homes. So these centers oftentimes are what stands in the gap between a pregnant woman and homelessness and living on the streets. So their importance is crucial to women and the pro-life movement.
Well, it's critical whenever these women find themselves in these situations. They need compassion. They need hope. They need, arguably, most of all, accurate information so that they know what to do. And these homes, not only are they the thing standing in the gap between them and potential homelessness, but they can provide those things, whether it's compassion and hope and life skills. They're there for them.
And that's where the rubber meets the road with all of those things. And in many cases, women are debating still whether they want to keep the child. And that's when they have the opportunity to show them an ultrasound, let them hear their baby's heartbeat, really open their eyes, be a window to the womb for these women, both now and throughout their pregnancy, and understand the importance of their decision to choose life for that child.
That's right. And of course, we'll be able to talk a lot more and expand upon this with our guests about this topic of pro-life maternity homes. First of all, I want to welcome Gina Tomes. Since 1991, she's been very influential, spearheading an effort to empower individuals in human services, pro-life programming, and housing for women who may be pregnant, homeless, experiencing crisis, and etc., helping them to choose life. Gina Tomes had the honor of speaking at the 2023 March for Life in Washington, D.C. on behalf of maternity homes throughout the entire country. We're also joined by Faith Cintron. She started her career as a live-in house mother at Cornerstone Young Women's Learning Center in Illinois. Back in 2016, she began working for Aid for Women. She now spends time one-on-one. I think this is so important, getting to know every woman and child who lives in the home and helping them navigate everything from relearning basic hygiene to maintaining their sobriety. Last but certainly not least, we have Gina Tijerina. She's been working in maternity housing for a little bit over a year now and has a personal experience of what it's like going through that. Now she enjoys being a part of housing interviews, the day-to-day life with the moms, getting to know them, finding out about their likes, their dislikes, and figuring out how she can help them in any way possible as they reach their goals. Thank you for coming. I want to welcome everyone to the show.
Thank you so much. It's so good to be here.
And Gina Tomes, we're going to start with you. What is the mission of maternity home consulting, and how did you begin it?
Well, thank you so much for asking. So the mission of maternity home consulting is to collaborate and to provide any sort of resources or guidance, expertise in areas of maternity housing. And how it got started was over the past 2 decades, I have had the absolute privilege and honor of working inside of a maternity home here in Omaha, Nebraska, and being a part of something that has grown consistently each year. And where we're at today in this culture, and especially, I think it was a light bulb moment when the Dobbs decision was handed down. I have always witnessed and felt personally that maternity homes were a true and real solution for a woman contemplating life and that experiencing a crisis pregnancy. It was just crystal clear that the time is now. The time is now. We can't wait anymore to provide these concrete, action-oriented faith responses to women contemplating life. We need to come together as a nation and show up with solutions. And witnessing what our moms are going through, and when they contemplate life, there are barriers that equal to homelessness, poverty, addiction, abuse of every kind, and the breakdown of the family. That from my perspective and in the middle of the nation and from my little eyes and just my tiny role, this was a lifetime solution for women and bridging these women out of these barriers as well as choosing life and living the life God created for them. This has not been an easy year for me. This has not been an easy time for probably any of us, but I felt that taking this next step and trying to provide more awareness. I have a big mouth and I am very passionate about the women that we serve because their voice wants to be heard. I have women that want to tell their stories to provide hope to the next woman experiencing maybe what they did. And this is a solution that I believe our culture can learn from and our nation needs.
Can you share some of the stories of how you helped some of your maternity home clients?
Absolutely. So an example would be that a mom experiencing a crisis pregnancy that would come through our doors at a maternity home would receive immediate care. As a human services professional, I never came to the table with the idea of this is what we should do. It was always about learning and walking with each woman because it's important to know there's no one woman alike. They are all very different. And one woman might need addiction and recovery treatment and a number of other services, but another woman might need, help attaining her GED to increase her income. There's a matrix that I go by of about, I call them 28 powerful interventions in a woman's life that we can look at and provide her with pathways. So a mom that I am specifically thinking of today that I was talking about right before I jumped on this podcast was a mom that came to us as a young mother. She had a child in foster care and she was experiencing a crisis pregnancy and became homeless and aged out of the foster care system and was living on the streets. She came to live with us. And because of that, she was able to live very, very comfortably in a safe environment because she came from domestic violence. She was able to receive therapy and a plethora of classes that equaled to about 150 hours of education. This was back in the day. So the education is much deeper now, and able to focus on her GED. And by transitioning then out of our maternity home, she was able to secure permanent affordable housing. She worked a full-time job parenting her two sons that she was doing very, very well, and continued to grow and thrive through our aftercare program. Aftercare programming is another aspect that is very much needed. That was about 8 years ago. Today, this woman is 1 year away from being a nurse. So we have been able to create scholarships and support mechanisms and walk with this mom through life. I get emotional still because no matter how much
you
time
have every reason to be emotional. That is a huge success.
And it's one tiny example because we are hyper focused on the problem is not the baby. The problem is not the child. The barriers in life are what the issues are. And we can tackle those within the maternity home. Not every maternity home is equipped and handles things the same way, and that's okay. We're all very, very different. I have just made myself available to help maternity homes in other communities try to deliver these pathways to work with these moms because it is our nation's solution. And so this particular mom, again, a year away from becoming a full registered nurse, and she's not stopping there. And she's able to mentor other women, and it's a snowball effect of love, faith, dedication, and doing it the right way.
And it's going to have generational impacts because her daughter will be brought up in a home that's stable, and she will lead by example and be able to assist her to launch into adulthood, won't she?
Absolutely, yes.
That's a great example of how you have helped a woman. What I'd like to ask now is how your consulting organization has helped other maternity homes.
Right now, currently, there's some momentum going on. I have just been available this past year, a little longer than a year, of sharing, don't reinvent the wheel. There are, and I see there's Wonderful Faith in Chicago that is also a part of a maternity home team that we're all very different. And so the cities and the demographics are different according to the needs. I always had a very high influx of women with addiction and recovery needs, where other maternity homes may not. It just kind of depends. However, Don't reinvent the wheel. Let's share the resources that we have in the programming pathways and learn from each other. So if an organization reaches out, I mostly just send them documents and do not charge. Although if a maternity home needs more extensive help, I can go in, do an assessment, and then walk along with that team in a very dedicated way to provide them with help. The goal by summer, though, is to have a property site. The vision is this. There's a little twofold, is staffing. Staffing is so hard on maternity homes. There sometimes can be a lot of turnover. But where I was at, I don't know, God just kind of had a hold of my heart and I burned up. I raced to get there over the past 20 years, and I had a hard time leaving, because when you're a part of witnessing miracles and you're a part of life change in the life cycle, your heart just burns on fire and you want to share that. And so I'm trying to secure a property here in Omaha, Nebraska, and it'll be called Maternity Housing of the Heartland, where maternity homes can send their staff and shadow a case manager or shadow a house mom and really learn some practices and find some renewal in it, learn some things that maybe they can take back as well, because I know technology is great. We wouldn't be able to do this without technology, but there's something about that in-person experience that is very authentic. And I think that we can learn together, because the stress levels and the situations that we are facing and encompassing are not easy. And we take that home with us, and we have to learn how to cope with that. We have to learn faith, to rely on our, processes forward. And I feel that I can share that, because my heart burns up. I never burned out. And if I can share that with the generation behind me and empower a whole team of maternity home leaders, I just think that would be a gift. And so I dream to share that. So those are just two ways that hopefully I can help maternity homes in general nationwide.
It sounds like the help that you provide the maternity homes is very customized depending upon their specific needs.
It is 100% customized. I attended a conference just this past September, and there were approximately at least 125 maternity homes there. And we are all so different. There were maternity homes that we're seeing an influx, at least we are here in the Midwest, of women that have been trafficked that are becoming pregnant, and not a lot of maternity homes were comfortable or feeling how to serve those women. So I've spent time developing curriculum and using curriculum so that we can help share that. So we are all very different. Some maternity homes use a house mother. Some maternity homes use staffing. There's different programs. There's different policies and rules. And it really boils down to where the maternity home is located and the staffing model that they have. But we are also very different.
Okay. Well, Faith, let's turn to you. Tell me about yourself and Aid for Women.
I've been running maternity homes for 12 years, just this past September. Aid for Women was founded in 1978 as a pregnancy center. And then since then, we have expanded. We're opening our 6th pregnancy center, hopefully in the new year, right outside of Loyola University. And then in 2011, we moved into maternity housing. So since 2011, we had Heather's House, which is our maternity home. So women come while they're pregnant and stay with us 3 to 6 months after the baby comes. And then, we had been taking in a couple of women who were refugees. We had a refugee from China, a refugee from Rwanda, and those women needed a longer continuum of care. So in 2015, we opened our transitional home, Monica's House, on the northwest side of Chicago. And so when women are doing well in our maternity home program and they just need more time to figure out legal situations, especially immigration status, if they are in school, if they just need more time saving money to transition into independence, they can stay at our home on paper up to 2 years, in reality, kind of however long they need. Because, our objective, of course, is to have a baby be born, but also to lend stability to an entire family. Because, this is not just a woman and a baby, this is a family. And so to give them the dignity they deserve and give them the stability they need to be successful when they leave our program.
Does the father of the baby ever play a role?
In some cases, yes. I've had some of my moms have married the fathers of their babies and have gone on to have more children, have bigger families. If it is a healthy relationship, encourage that relationship, encourage it to grow. We've paid for family counseling for some of our women so that that relationship can flourish. If it is failing relationship, let's say, we will have our women go through counseling. We will counsel our women to know what a healthy, romantic, healthy married relationship is and looks like, because we don't want her to leave here and go to someone who is going to undo the work that she has done. And then, if we know from go that it is a dangerous relationship, because that happens, we will put safeguards in place to keep that woman away from the man. In the end, it's her choice. These are all adult women, but we will do what we can to sort of show her what a healthy relationship is and what she deserves in a healthy relationship.
Thank you. Victor?
Take us back to the very first mother that you encountered and the help that she needed. What was that like for you?
Terrifying. It was so terrifying because, it's sort of like being a newborn, but your newborn is 23 and is pregnant and gets to make her own choices. But, you're also like, you don't show up for this job because you want a paycheck. You show up for this job because you have received and accepted a commissioning. And that commissioning is, for me, it's just to love. And every mom is like, feels like your first mom every time. Like, I hope I don't screw this up. And just to be a safe place for her and to love her as best you can. And also to make sure that you maintain the humility to let her minister to you too, because that's part of helping them know who they are and what they deserve, is like knowing that I'm not perfect just because I run a maternity home. So my moms, one of my former moms is sitting right next to me. They teach me so many wonderful things and help me grow as a person, for sure.
Well, and that also demonstrates a great deal of humility and respect for these mothers who you're working with.
They're heroes. They are making probably one of the scariest decisions they've ever had to make in their life. They come from a place where they don't feel supported. They don't know if they're safe. And then they say, okay, strangers, let me come live with you and see if you can help me. And like that, I think of myself, even now in my 40s, would I feel comfortable just moving into a home with people I don't know and hoping that they do a good job taking care of me? So, they're so brave in the decision they make.
Well, this is radio, but for the record, you don't look close to 40. So.
Oh, thank you.
Tell us what life skills that you provide to the women while they're under your care.
We try to provide just about anything. We have educational tract if our women need their GED, if they want to go to college, we will find the resources to make that happen. Our home is run in a very sort of familial community way. So our women take turns cooking dinner for the entire community every night. If they don't know how to cook, they learn how to cook. If they don't know how to clean, they learn how to clean, because we live in our home, we take care of our home. So we all have chores. We provide sewing classes. I teach a sewing class to our moms once every few months. We have faith formation. We do a bi-weekly Bible study. We have daily required prayer twice a day. We try to get people in to teach them different things, like how to change a flat tire. My husband is a chef, so he'll come in. This is how you break down a chicken if you find chicken on sale, so you can save money that way. So really, if I have a resource that has a specific skill or talent, I will bring that resource in and have them spend time with my mom so that they can experience things that maybe they wouldn't otherwise.
Can you share some stories that impacted you the most?
Yeah, so many of them. Just like Gina, I have a lawyer now. One of my girls finished and she sat for her bars last month and passed her bars, which is it's incredible. And, she invited me to her graduation. I sat there and wept like a small child because it was just so beautiful. She was there with her husband and her 2 children. And she has since offered us some, she does mostly family law. So she will kind of come in and meet with the current moms if there are custody issues, if there are things that her skill set speaks to. I bought a wedding dress with one of my residents once. She was from Nigeria and she was going home to get married. And we spent the day, trying on wedding dresses and buying wedding dresses. And not all the stories are the happiest. I think, one of the most impactful stories in my life, I had a resident who been in treatment and she was clean. or so we thought. And then one morning, it was Saturday morning, and she showed up for morning prayer with all of her belongings in a black garbage bag and said, "I'm moving out." And then a week later, she was arrested. She was living in her car with her 18-month-old, and they found drug paraphernalia in the car. And it was devastating to me to know that that was the choice she made. Luckily her little boy, her sister took custody of him, and they came back and visited. And something very significant was every day this little boy and I would sit and read Llama Llama Red Pajama. It was our tradition. And when her sister came back to the house just so we could see her little guy and kind of have closure there, the first thing he did was run into our house library and grab Llama Llama Red Pajama. So even though he had been through this traumatic event, he knew our home, and he knew what we did, and he knew safety there. I've heard from her since. She has been clean and sober for many years. She had another baby. Her first son is still with her sister, and everyone's doing well. But, I think the idea that our mamas feel like, often, not always, our home is their home, and they have a sense of safety. And our children too, the kids that we minister to, the babies, our home is their home, and they have a sense of home, belonging, and safety there, no matter what, when they come back.
Well, you mentioned this in passing, but how long do the women stay in your residence there?
So typically, on average, I would say minimum a year, often up to 3. A girl who was working on her biochem degree at DePaul, and so she needed a little bit more time. She stayed at our transitional home for about 3 years while she finished her degree. But our women know from the day of admittance, like at any time, they're free to leave. I had a girl come and she had dinner and she did her laundry and she had a good night's sleep and then left the next morning. And that's sometimes hard because we, of course, want to keep them. And I know Gina can probably speak to that too. You just want to keep them and hold on to them because what you have for them is the best, but they make their decisions.
What about the community around your facilities? Do they support the mission of Aid for Women?
They do, very much so. We are a Catholic Christian home, so we have a lot of involvement with the Catholic churches in the area. We have volunteer groups come out and redo our garden every year, and we have groups come and do, they do coat drives, they do gift card drives, they come and make dinner for us. We've gotten very, very comfortable with the American Heritage Girls, which is a phenomenal organization, and they have done we've had 4 so far come through and do either their Abigail Adams project or their Stars and Stripes project and redo rooms in our homes or put a garden in at one of our pregnancy centers. So we do have a lot of community involvement, community investment in what we're doing.
Okay, well, thank you. Gina Tijerina, please briefly tell me your story.
I was homeless. I was on drugs and drinking very heavily, and I found out I was pregnant with my daughter.
So what did you do?
I called Aid for Women. I set up an appointment with them, met them in their Chicago location, confirmed my pregnancy, and then came and had an interview at Heather's house.
So were you glad to be there?
No.
Please explain that.
No, I mean, I was living a certain kind of life, and I would be having to move into a home where there are rules and structure and, can't drink and do drugs. And so I guess just like having to make a massive change in my life, I did get over it though. So
yes. Well, we're very glad that you did. Tell us how Aid for Women helped you.
In every way, from clothes to food. They helped pay for a couple college classes, transportation to and from work and appointments, pretty much spiritually, emotionally, every single need.
Every aspect of your life, eh?
Yes.
How has your journey with Aid for Women impacted your life overall?
Yeah, I mean, if I hadn't gone and made the decision that I made to move in, I would have ended up in prison or dead. So changed the entire trajectory of my life.
Where are you now? What are you doing?
So I have had my apartment for 2.5 years now. So
good for you.
I'm actually in the process of transitioning my son home because I have a 12-year-old and I've been without him for 6 years now. So it took me kind of a while to get it together, but I stayed at Heather's house, or I stayed at Aid for Women for 2 years. And then I've had my apartment for 2.5 years now. So I've been on the upward trajectory for about 4.5 years. I'm going to school. I'm going for ultrasound technician. I still continue in my support groups. I have a support group Wednesday night and Thursday night. And then, of course, church on Sunday. And I have my son over the weekends.
Well, that's great. Life is on the upward swing, isn't it?
And Faith wants me to say that I'm working for Aid for Women.
Good. What do you do for Aid for Women?
Well, my title is residential assistant. I kind of just do whatever Faith tells me to do. But my favorite part of the job is I love housing interviews. I like to connect in that way and be like, I was there, man. Like, you can do this, and then that just kind of rings true to like everyday life. I have a lot of knowledge in assisting, the women because I was in that situation. So, I can navigate that.
Well, God has taken you from the ashes of your life and picked you up, dusted you off, and placed you here to do his work for him. What made you choose life for your baby? You were homeless. You were a perfect poster child for Planned Parenthood. Why did you say no to abortion and yes to life?
I grew up very pro-life. In that moment, I really actually considered having an abortion because what the heck else was I going to do? And I had considered it more than I would ever have liked to admit it. But I really feel like having a fresh chance, somewhere to live, somewhere to thrive, somewhere that I can be and, have that assistance really helped push me towards that decision. Because had I not had that offered to me, I don't know.
I'm just so inspired, not only by what Faith does and the homes and the staff, but by what you have done. Those of us who sit on the sidelines who have not experienced the drama in life that you have are absolutely in awe when we see someone claw themselves from that ground. So we are very proud of you.
Faith put her hand down and I just grabbed onto it.
Did you grab with both hands?
Oh, I held on for dear life. I still am.
Faith, what was your experience with Gina when she entered the maternity home at first?
Oh gosh. She was surly for sure, but just like so many of the women that come to us, you have to patiently break through the shell. And I think once she kind of submitted to a change, she became honestly one of my favorite residents. And I'm not just saying that because she's here. I also gave her a job because of it, because she had such an immense respect for the work we did in the home and maintaining our home. But it's not peaches and cream when they first move in. I jokingly tell my staff, we meet 3 women. We meet the woman in the interview who is in survival mode, and she just will say what she needs to say to get what she needs. We will meet the honeymoon woman who is pregnant and happy to be out of the streets and everything is wonderful. And then once that baby comes, we find out who she really is. And it is a different person, and there are hormones and there is attitude. Everyone is sleep deprived. And if we can love and fight that woman well enough, we have some chance at success there. So it's a wild ride, but I couldn't imagine any other life.
I want to thank you all for coming to be on this program, taking time out of your day. It has been an inspiration to hear from all 3 of you.
Thank you so much for having us and giving us the opportunity.
Well, Brad, once again, I think it's so special that we got to have the variety of perspectives. We got to have, people who have experienced what it's like to capitalize on the resources that are available. And what a bold decision that is to put yourself out there and say, you know what, I'm going to go to one of these maternity homes. And we also got to have the other side. We got to see what it's like just from all perspectives. And what a blessing it's been to me and hopefully to our entire audience to get some inspiration from that and see what it's really like while highlighting the importance of these maternity homes.
Well, and Victor, the thing that wraps this whole thing together is love. Like if you tied a whole bow around it of love, it's very evident in all of the interviews that were done. Gina helping ministries be better and more fine-tuned to the women they help. You had Faith, who is very diligent in her work and loves those women who come through her path that God has placed there. And then you have little Gina, who found herself homeless and pregnant and worked her way up to now, where she's going to be an ultrasound technician and help others see the magnificence of unborn babies in the womb. It's kind of a full circle. It was an honor to be part of this program, and I just touched my heart to hear from each one of them.
And Brad, it really is a labor of love. That much is evident. And if you want to join the labor of love, you can join the Life Defenders today and become a monthly donor. Be a daily part of our work to save babies and promote a culture of life across America. Giving monthly in any amount is a tremendous commitment to the pro-life movement. We can't all be sidewalk counselors. We can't all run our own maternity home, but what we can do is continue to support vital pro-life education through a monthly donation. Monthly giving helps us reach persuadable people with a pro-life message, and monthly giving enabled the creation of this very program that allows us to get this information to you. Help us do more for the babies by becoming a Life Defender today. You can easily sign up on our website, lifeissues.org.